There is nothing more stressful than someone trying to choke you, trying to get your arm, they're on top of you, putting you in chokeholds and things that you have to find a strategy out. You have to get out of there and you have to do what you want. Like you have to choke them back or you have to sweep them back, end up on top. So that is every day. When some situation in life bothers you, your brain is ready for a strategy. Your brain is ready to react towards that situation that is uncomfortable for you.
What it is, Brad Lee, back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I got a real treat for you, especially if you like UFC. We got Daniel Gracie in the house, along with Sean V. Bradley, who himself is a little martial artist, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Which is 20 years, or no, you said 15 years in the making?
I've been in martial arts for 30 years, but jiu-jitsu for over 20.
Now, have you ever had to use it?
Martial arts? Yeah, I was in prison before, right?
You didn't have to use it in there, did you?
Well, absolutely. You're fighting 100%.
Did you win?
Yeah.
Because, dude, tell me the truth.
You don't have to. It's sometimes in prison, it's not like killing somebody or have you. So if somebody disrespects you, you have to check them, or you're gonna get marked as a person that's gonna, be a punk. So one of the instances that I had when I was locked up, I'll never forget. This is a story I've never shared with you. We're in the cafeteria.
The door.
We're in the cafeteria or the lunch hall, the mess hall, what have you. And one of the Muslims, because I was small, as young as 19 years old, thought I was a punk. Say again? What did you say? I missed it.
I said, Alhamdulillah.
Oh, yeah. It was on some other shit. So he basically kind of like pushed me, and I literally just swung and hit him, and he kind of wobbled, but then he went to dive in, and jiu-jitsu definitely helps out. But back then, I didn't have Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Before I got locked up, I was doing Kempo and small circle jiu-jitsu. So yeah, it definitely came in handy from time to time.
Now, when it comes to Daniel, you obviously are from the family that almost invented it all, pretty much.
Almost invented it, yeah. Well, in reality, we did invent it because what happened is jiu-jitsu before, it was just something like for self-defense and like special forces. Like actually, Japanese special forces on the 20s used to use jiu-jitsu. It didn't supposed to be spread around the world. It's supposed to be something special to keep it for them. And then when my uncle learned, he's like, oh no, I'm not gonna keep that from people. I have to show them. But the big difference is that now it became more like a sport. Before it was not a sport, okay? Remember, this was invented to prove the efficiency of jiu-jitsu. And that's what people don't understand. They think like back then, we're like, oh, wait a minute. Jiu-jitsu is like, it's a great way to get everybody in the cage and fight. No. We wanted to prove that jiu-jitsu was special and was the best martial art. So we challenged all other martial arts, and we proved that jiu-jitsu was the best. There is no one
Isn't that
today.
how kind of the UFC began?
Yeah, well, the UFC began in Brazil, actually. Horion invented the UFC here in US. But the MMA shows, the Vale Tudo shows, were happening in Brazil back then. No time limit, no gloves. But it was more martial arts versus martial art. It was not fighter versus fighter like it is today, okay? There's no one that can survive this game without learning how to strike, learning how to take people down, learning how to finish people on the ground. So today is more fighter versus fighters. Before, it was martial arts versus martial art. So there's a big difference in there.
Yeah, so like karate.
You
never hear anybody that does karate anymore.
Well, on that time, karate was a big deal, and a bunch of my uncles and cousins fought karate guys in Brazil. There was actually shows happening inside of our gym, like people bring 20 karate fighters versus 20 jiu-jitsu fighters, and they just put them to beat each other. Of course, jiu-jitsu always win.
But why do you think that is?
Well, no, I remember today jiu-jitsu is special.
Well, jiu-jitsu, if I had to describe it to me, is a mix between wrestling and karate, let's say.
More or less.
But it's more wrestling than anything.
It's more wrestling than karate, definitely. So with what we do that is different is that we understand leverage, okay? So we have like shortcuts for positions that you can dominate people. You can punch their face if you want to, or you can break their arm if you want to, or you can choke them if you want it. Okay, so understanding that makes your life easier when you take the guy down. Now, on that time, nobody knew what was going on. If you ask 80% of the fighters that started on the 90s, why you start MMA, they all gonna say because I watched Royce Gracie beating everybody up in the UFC.
Big
That's
people
why I got
too.
into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because Royce.
Everyone.
Well, I remember like he fought some huge dude.
Yeah. So
Back then there was no weight classes.
no weight classes, no time limit, no rules. I don't know if you remember. There was a
I
guy.
do.
I forgot team something. There was one of the UFC. I don't know. I don't remember if it was number 3 or number 4. Okay, a guy grabs the other one on the chokehold, and this other fighter start to punch the guy's balls like this. Boom.
I watched every single one of
Oh,
them.
you remember that? That was allowed on that time.
Yeah. Dude,
And
I watched every one of them from start one because believe it or not, your uncle, I would argue, did not invent the UFC. I actually did.
You did?
Except,
Really?
yeah, dude, I swear on my kids, this is the truth. I'm in Vegas. Every time there's a bar fight, everybody wanted to see the fight. And anytime there's a fight outside, everyone, we want to see fights. And I knew this. And so I said to my buddies, because they had a bunch of money, they were doing telemarketing, they had tons of money. And I said, dude, what we need to do is we need to put up like $100,000 and let anyone walk into this ring and fight each other, sell tickets to just watch a bunch of badasses go at it for $100,000. No rules, no gloves, no nothing. Just you think you're badass, get in there. And then if someone else thinks they're badass, that's who you're fighting. And I talked them into funding this thing. And I'm like, dude, this is going to be badass, man. We're going to sell the shit out of this.
Why did they listen to you?
The Nevada Gaming Commission stopped us because we literally were going to rent Thomas
So
and
you
Mack.
really you had a project to do
Dude,
that.
we were getting ready to do a ultimate fighting challenge. We wouldn't have called it
in
ultimate.
a club.
No, at Thomas and Mack
Oh, you kidding me?
Arena.
Wow.
Oh yeah, dude.
That's
These guys
awesome.
had money. They were making all kinds of money with
So
telemarketing. So I had them convinced to put up the $100,000 and to fund putting on this big event and promote the shit out of it. It was just my idea, and everyone's like, "Yeah, I think it'll work. I think it'll work." And I'm like, "Damn right, it'll work. Everyone wants to see fights," and so. We went through the processes and, went and started talking to Thomas and Mack and then went and all of a sudden I got a call and they said, dude, it got shut down. I'm like, what do you mean? Nope, not allowed. Nevada Gaming or, whoever's in charge said no. Not gaming. It might have been Nevada Boxing or Nevada.
It makes sense, and I'm going to tell you why. One of the reasons, I don't think people ever ask Rorion why he sold the UFC, but one of the reasons was because of that. Because they didn't want him to do no rules, no gloves, no time limit. And that's one of the reasons he gave up on the UFC was because he wanted to prove that jiu-jitsu was the best martial art. And if you put time into those fights that you watch Royce, you're going to see that he started to win after the guys were already kind of guessing out. And that's how jiu-jitsu, wins with the technique. We're able to stay safe without getting punched in the face, without getting hurt. The other person is getting tired, and then at one point they can't defend themselves anymore. And that's what Royce was proving there. How, first how badass he was, because that was surprising for everyone. That a guy that big could beat all those guys. And not only that, how he finished them with the perfect technique, perfect jiu-jitsu technique. Remember, Royce was not in Brazil, so we didn't know his skills in Brazil. Yes, we knew that he was good because, again, he's a Gracie and he grew up on the martial
That's some
art.
gangster shit right there.
But we didn't know how good he was until we saw him fighting, and everybody was like, "Oh, wait a minute! Yeah, he's doing really good." And one example, you're gonna remember that when he fought Don Severn on the final, we were watching the fight in Brazil, and Don Severn's on top of him, punching. And the commentator is like, "Oh, the beast is on top of the Gracie. I don't think the Gracie is going to be able to escape from there." But he's in a triangular choke. It's a choke that we know. And we're looking like, what the fuck he's talking about? He's gonna tap. Like he has a choke on him. And then you see Don Severn tapping. For us, that was amazing. But for the American people that were watching that for the first time, they had no idea what was going on. You know, so one of the reasons that Rorion didn't want to do the UFC anymore, because a fight like that would never happen if you put 5 minutes. You know, the beast, the guy is 300 pounds, gonna come on the one that is 167 pounds, start to shake the guy for 3 minutes, and you're not gonna be able to do anything. Yes, jiu-jitsu can beat someone in 5 minutes, but there's timing, there is strength, there's a bunch of things that would be a little more difficult if there was a time limit. That's why.
The very first one, I believe, was in Colorado, Denver.
I don't remember.
Yes,
I
it was.
remember.
And the reason it was in Denver is because they approved it.
Gaming Commission.
Now, we and my team gave up. Like, as soon as they said, nope, not doing it, we didn't even think, well, let's try another state. We just said, damn it. And we walked off. So, and I didn't know Horan, right? So again, how old is Horan?
Oh, man.
Because I'm 54, so I don't remember when the first one was, but I was trying to do it.
He's over 60.
I was trying to do what I'm talking about prior to the first one ever happening. So when the first one came out, I'm like,
so before
that's
the UFC.
What I'm talking about. Before the UFC, I was trying to put it on. And I said, and when I saw it, I'm like, dude, that's what I'm talking about. Like, how the hell did they do it? I called my buddies. I'm like, dude, do you guys see this UFC thing coming up? They're like, and the guy on the earth, you know, was kind of cheesy back then. You know, remember the big muscle guy that fell on the earth?
Yeah,
He's like, UFC, and it was all being promoted. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, that's what I was talking about. And then it went, and everybody loved it, and I thought it was going big. But then you listen to Dana and the Fertitta story to where, you know, if they didn't put all those millions into it, it probably wouldn't be big today. And I'm like, damn, I thought it was big the second I saw it.
It was big. Okay, on that time, people were still watching, but there was a time that you could tell, like, people were not watching anymore. And that's when I give props to them, the Ultimate Fighter. When they started the Ultimate Fighter
show.
On that time, it was like that crazy thing with Big Brother and like all those reality shows. And that brought back MMA and Jiu-Jitsu. It was really good for us. Every jiu-jitsu school after the Ultimate Fighter get packed. And I'm going to tell you why. Because most of the people that are winning the Ultimate Fighter were also jiu-jitsu fighters. Jiu-jitsu black belts or jiu-jitsu
So here's my question I always ask everybody. If you had to pick one, let's call it medium or discipline. One. You can only have one.
Okay.
And you wanted to make sure that, like, obviously you could handle yourself in any situation. Which one would you pick?
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, by far.
100%.
I don't get that answer a lot. I get it sometimes. The number one answer I get. What would your second one be?
I'll say boxing.
That's the number one answer I get.
Boxing.
From mixed martial artists that say, you know, if I had to pick just one, boxing. And I'm like, why boxing? You know, I said, but if you end up on the ground, he goes, well, if you can box, you won't end up on the ground.
Well,
they will. He said they will.
Yeah, so I have.
I'm like, yeah, so maybe I'll go box.
If you're talking about self-defense, okay, if you're talking about street fighting.
I'm talking about self-defense and street fighting.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you why. Like, let's say Muay Thai, like kicking. How much space you're going to have on the street to kick someone, okay? Wrestling, yes, you can take people down, but you don't know if the guy has friends, okay? So now, boxing, angles, head movement, precise punches. So you know how to land a punch on the person's jaw. So one punch can knock someone out, and then you're ready for the next one. You're ready for the next one. Okay. Now someone comes and take you down. You have jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So
boxing and jiu-jitsu would be the 1 and 2.
For me, it's the best combination.
Well, you better learn jiu-jitsu if you get taken down on the ground, because if 100%. A jiu-jitsu guy or anybody that knows what they're doing on the ground and you have no idea what you're doing, you're screwed.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to be real, okay? How many times did you see someone fighting like 4 or 5 guys? How many times? No, I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm talking about you in the club.
Yeah, never.
And someone fight 4 guys.
I've never seen one guy fight 4. No, actually I have. A guy named Wayne. And he always looked for fights, and he would beat up 2 or 3 people at a time. But they weren't looking to fight. They were like getting beat up. There's a difference.
So that being said, usually when you're on the club, you're not by yourself. You're with friends.
Yep.
Sometimes you go out with the girlfriend, but you don't go to a club. You go to a restaurant. You go to places that situation is not going to happen. Because people fight in the end of the night when they're drunk, and they want to be muscle heads. So usually when you have friends, those friends are going to protect you from other friends of the person you're fighting against.
If they're good friends.
So it's going to be a fair fight. That jiu-jitsu is the most effective one.
I like the friends that won't let it be a fair fight.
But Brad, I want to jump in on this too. Look, I'm only 5'5". So again, if I'm going against somebody that's a lot bigger, a lot stronger, standing toe to toe in boxing or striking is not my best strategy.
And if he says 5'5", it's 5'4".
I'm 5'5" and 2/4, man.
Are you lying there?
I'm 5'5", for real. I got an idea on it. But so sincerely, like, jiu-jitsu is incredible for self-defense for, somebody that's smaller, and especially like females. I've got 2 daughters. For me, I always worry about them being in a compromised situation, and if they're gonna be able to defend themselves, I think jiu-jitsu is the absolute best, especially for women.
Well, for women,
shit like that too.
Well, yes, because if anything's happening to a woman, it's probably on her back.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and being forcefully,
and like, let's say a situation of rape, where they're gonna go? They're gonna go right like in the middle of the woman's legs, right? That's how they rape women. Do you know how many submissions we have from there? How many ways to choke someone out, to break someone's arm
from the guard position
from that situation?
Well, if I were a female, or a male for that matter, but if I were a female, I would be studying jiu-jitsu for sure. And not that everyone's going around being raped, but rape does exist.
Yeah, and it exists, yes.
And I would want to have the ability to defend myself, or at least try. I just saw a video, which is why I'm bringing it up, where this girl's in the gym by herself, and she goes and lets that dude in. And that dude literally didn't give a rat's ass. He's going to fuck her, whether she likes it or not, which is why they call it rape. Because if she liked it, then it wouldn't be rape, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But she fucking started smacking him in the face. He didn't care. He just threw her on the ground. You're going on the ground if you're a girl, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So you better know what you're doing.
And I will say women in law enforcement. Law enforcement, sometimes I'm not making fun of them because it's not their fault.
I will do it because I am openly promoter of the blue, the shield. I'm technically a cop, actually.
Yeah,
but they don't know how to fight very well.
It's embarrassing.
Most of them. It's
embarrassing. Sometimes I see 4 cops trying to hold one woman.
It's embarrassing. I think to myself, I thought they go through training.
But I always wonder what's happening in the world that people didn't realize that jiu-jitsu is the best martial art for law enforcement.
100%.
But they try to invent that if they know jiu-jitsu, they're going to hurt people. It's totally the opposite. You can dominate people on the ground without using any strength, any punches, just using leverage. And I see sometimes situations happen that I go, why?
Yeah, you know Zach, who I called right before the show. So I met him. He introduced me to my wife, my current wife, and we all went to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. And this was like brand new dating and being a dumbass. And I used to be a little bit of a drinker. So we get down there and I start pounding tequila. And before you know it, of course, I'm being a belligerent dickhead. And my wife then was my girlfriend, who he introduced me to, and it's his wife's friend. So I'm down there and she starts mouthing off about something. Of course, I'm all belligerent. So I told her to fucking shut up. And then he said something like, hey man, you shouldn't talk to her like that. And I said, shut the fuck up. You too, shut the fuck up. I'll crack you fucking right upside the head. I didn't know he was a jiu-jitsu guy. So he didn't say anything. He's just like, yeah, whatever. So long story short, I got fucking to a point where he said something and I said no. And next thing you know, I'm on my back and he's sitting on me going, you want me to break your arm? And I'm like trying to get him off me. I can't get him off me. My only thought in my head was one. And I knew if I did this, because I'm an extreme dude, like I only had one thing I could do that I noticed at the time, because I tried to get him off. I tried to get out. There was no getting out. I'm screwed. And he was being calm, which is to your point. He wasn't freaking out. He was like, you want me to break your arm? I'm not moving him. He's like, dude, You want me to break your arm? He just kept saying that. I'm like, no, I don't want you to fucking break my arm. I want you to get off me. He wouldn't get off me. So I'm like thinking, one move, thumb, eyeball. But that's extreme. Like you go that far, you're committing.
Yeah. So
I could either, because my arms were even free and I could not get his ass off me. It was the craziest thing.
Remember,
but I didn't know he was jiu-jitsu.
He's been to this situation every day, many times, with different body types. Guys
with stronger people, right?
Exactly, stronger than you, but they know what they're doing
and know what they're doing,
and he has to hold them down. Okay, so
to me, he wasn't afraid at all.
So let's say you get your thumb and you poke on his eye. So now you're not just down, not able to escape, but now you have someone on top of you that is mad because you almost blind him, and now nothing is holding him.
Well, you would
breaking your face with punches from there.
Or arms.
You understand?
Like I'll take a few punches rather than a snap. Because you can break someone's arm if you know how to do it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Especially if you know how to do it. And they don't know how to stop you from doing it. Dude, I was basically at his mercy. I didn't know it, but I was. And I was drunk. Because you ever see those drunk people that get belligerent and they think they can fight?
But I'm going to tell you, I have bad experience. My worst experience in like street fights are with drunk people. They're a lot harder to dominate and to move than a guy that is not drunk.
Really?
Yeah. It's a lot worse because it's dead weight. They're relaxed. So when you're trying to move them around, they're 10 times heavier. Okay? Now, yeah, they move slower, but it's hard to move them around.
Has anybody ever mistakenly fucked with you at a bar?
Oh man, many times. Are you kidding me?
And you had to do it
in US, a couple times. Brazil, all the time.
Dude, I hear Brazil is just like one bad place to be.
It's wild. It's a little wild. And there's now it's funny because now people know that there's a bunch of fighters in Brazil. You go to a club in Brazil, you're gonna see a lot of fighters. So people don't mess around with anyone. Like you're gonna see if someone is messing around with you in Brazil, you know they're either very good fighters or they have a gun. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. Like people not even look at your face unless they want to fight you. That's reality.
And especially they notice your ears. Like, oh shit, he's got the ears.
And that's a big problem too. That now people recognize fighters by looking at our ears.
Yeah. Now see, Sean, I don't see any ear on you.
Yeah.
How come?
Because I use headgear back when I roll.
And that's the difference?
Yeah.
So how come you didn't use headgear?
It sucks. Headgear, to train the headgear, I couldn't. I tried many times.
Does the cauliflower ear come from getting your ears smeared into the mat?
The headgear was actually for wrestlers, okay?
Yeah.
So there was no engaging on the ground, keep moving on the ground. Remember we were talking about like being claustrophobic on the ground? With that, some of them grab it's on your chin right here, and some of them get actually here to not move around. In the middle of the heat of the training, that thing here and here, you just go, and you don't want that anymore.
So for 30 years, you've been wearing it?
No, not for 30 years. But when I train and I really roll, I put hair gear on. I used to.
Because you don't want cauliflower ear?
I don't really, but I'd
only want cauliflower ear for one reason.
If I was a
fighter. If I was like, I'm going to be a fighter and that's all I'm going to be a fighter. Dude, I'd want cauliflower ear. I'd want a crooked nose. I'd want freaking everything. Like just to walk in and intimidate.
Believe it or not, I had students asking me to give them cauliflower ears.
How do you get it?
If you get their ears with a towel or the gi and you just smash it back and forward, you're going to see that it's going to be making noise. It's like a cartilage, okay? So you move, and then you're going to hear a plack. Once you hear the plack, that means the cartilage broke. And then it fills with that liquid that gets hard. So it gets like this. So you have to be doing is that you have to drain, and you have to stop training. But nobody stopped training. So they drain, it pops back up. And then they drain, and it goes back up. And everybody, it hurts. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts.
But you got to get that kind of readjusted, the thought. Most people that I've seen in jiu-jitsu don't have cauliflower ears. The professional fighters, the MMA fighters. Yes, some of the jiu-jitsu, but I don't want you to think that just because you train in jiu-jitsu and you've been doing it for a while that you should have cauliflower ears. So
no. You don't need cauliflower ears, and you don't.
No, but
you're not going to get them just because you train.
Some people want it. Some people want it.
Not me.
Some people want it. Some people don't want it. If you ask me, do you want it? No, I don't.
Yeah.
It happened. Actually, what happened.
You must have got tired of draining.
It happened in a tournament. It was in a competition, and I not even remember how. I just end up at the competition, and
Somebody took a wet towel and rubbed your ear?
No.
No, he's saying what
I
you
didn't
can
want
do
to
to
have
get
that
it.
at all. I didn't want to have cut flowers there at all. But again, mine's not that bad. Look at mine.
Yeah, no, yours ain't that bad.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, if I'm in especially in the Gracie family, I'd want both of them. This one's not affected at
Badge
all.
of honor, right?
Oh,
Experience.
man. Well, they already know we're fighters, so we don't need the cut flower ears.
Yeah, they don't.
Now, if somebody mistook you, of course you're big anyway, but someone would like mistake him because he's a little shorter.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, but they know jiu-jitsu. Like, dude, you're gonna get your ass whooped if it goes on the ground. So where I was going with that question was, if someone comes up and just pops you right in the chin in a good one, you're getting knocked out. Well, how's jiu-jitsu going to help you?
Then it's not going to help. But any martial arts is not going to help you. There's no martial arts that are going to help you if you get like a good shot to the jaw.
Well, that's why I want to figure out, like, what's that sport where you just practice the jaw pop. So when you think you're going to get in a fight, just whack, no fight.
There's street fighters that are good on that. They have heavy hands. They know the timing to punch, the good elbow. Like they have positions, especially smart street fighters. They know everything. Like guys that like to fight on the street, they'll come to a club. They know where to get out. Where's the chair? Where's the bottle that they can use? Like this, those are street fighters. They mean. They don't think about what can happen. Like us fighters, we don't go to a club thinking about fighting. But if it happens, we know how to defend ourselves. So there's the fighter smart, there's the street smart. Growing up in Brazil, you have to be both. You have to, okay? Growing up in US, yes, sometimes you're gonna need to defend yourself on the street, but I don't hear about people fighting on the street all the time, It doesn't happen that much here.
We're breaking arms and shit.
Well,
normally I see people get in a fight. They punch each other. One dude knocks the other dude out, or busts up a lip, or they scrap for 15 seconds and they're completely winded, and it ends.
Yeah, I see a lot.
There's nobody breaking arms.
I see a lot of people screaming at each other here, and the fight actually doesn't happen. And there's always someone that comes and break it apart, and then because you're gonna get in trouble if you fight. Especially if you hurt someone, you're gonna get in trouble. In Brazil, it doesn't happen. If you go to a police station because of a fight, you're gonna go there. They're gonna say, okay, you go home. Wait a little bit until you go home. Now you go home, and they send you back home. Like, yeah, times are changing, and people are getting more in trouble for fighting. But reality, it doesn't happen that much in Brazil. On my time, it didn't happen at all. If you're in a fight, you're in a fight. You don't go to jail because of fighting. Okay, here is different, so that's why I think people are kind of like, yeah, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get arrested, so they don't fight. But sometimes there is bullies that take advantage of this mindset, and even you trying to be polite and trying to stay out of trouble. Which more humble you get, more cocky they got, and more they try to fight you. And those are the guys that I wouldn't wait. I'll have to hit back and
first
defend myself first. Yes, because it's dangerous. Dangerous.
How much more likely are you to win the engagement by striking first?
When you fight, when you're a fighter, I live that. That's what I do for a living. I know when the person is gonna hit me. I know they can be sneaky on me. They can surprise me. I'm never gonna let you be like nose to nose talking shit on my face. You're not gonna get. You get close to my face, you're gonna get hit. I know the distance that you can hurt me.
But if I come train with you, is that what you're teaching me?
If you want to.
Well, yeah. I mean, dude, if I came into a dojo, do you call them dojos? What do you call them?
Yeah, we call dojo. Some people call it like the mats. Some people call it school, academy. But I like to call school.
But if I show up and my comment to you or my statement to you would be, okay, I want to learn how to quickly, not decapitate, but eliminate. That's not the word either. But
neutralize your opponent.
Yeah, that's a good one. I want to quickly neutralize my opponent.
But you're gonna have to tell me how.
I don't care how. You teach me how. I just want to quickly. I don't want to wrestle. Mm-hmm. I don't want to fight on the ground. Because 9 times out of 10, you're on pavement, dude, and you're gonna get cut up just moving around. Like, dude, I want to get out of it as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Preferably with a pop. and be done with it. But if that doesn't work, then is there some special move?
I can teach you how to do that.
And then secondly would be if somebody gets me on the ground, how can I gain a dominant position and to where like they give up?
Easy.
That's
easy. For that, if you're fighting someone that doesn't know about martial arts, you take me about a month to get you ready for that. Okay?
A month, and I'll be able to defend.
You'll be able to against a regular
normal person.
Yeah. A normal person.
After a month?
A month.
Damn, everyone should do that then.
Yeah. I'm telling you, like,
but what happens if they've had a month?
If that's the thing, if you're fighting on the street, okay, you get in trouble on the street, in the club or anywhere, and that person on the other side knows jiu-jitsu too, you are unlucky motherfucker. You know, because it's hard. It's hard to like.
It's like chess.
It's a close community. Everybody knows each other. It's gonna be hard for you to fight someone that knows jiu-jitsu too. You know.
It seems like everybody in mixed martial arts knows jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but fighters are not going to be in the club fighting each other. They're going to be in the club and like some musclehead that had no idea who was that guy.
But there's a million fighters we've never heard of.
Yes.
There's
that's
dojos
true.
all across the country of little wannabe fighters.
Look, that's true, and everybody watched the UFC. So depending who you're fighting, okay, who you get in trouble with, if that guy is a higher level than you, what is maybe 1 in 1 million that can happen? You know, you're gonna know him.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You'll know of him.
You understand? So nobody gets surprised with that. Usually, what happens is the bullies, like the street bullies, are the ones that get in trouble with jiu-jitsu fighters, and they get their ass kicked, and they have no idea what happened. One example, my cousin Henzo just got into a fight. In the subway, okay? In the subway.
The story went viral.
In New York. So he was talking loud inside of the subway. This guy just looked at him and said, "Yo, speak English." He was talking in Portuguese. "Speak English." And he goes, "What? Speak English." And he goes, "Man, this is racist." And he goes, "Yeah, I know you're talking about me." He tried to invent something. That was a bully. So what I think it happened was he was talking loud. The guy's girlfriend started to look at them talking in Portuguese, and he got jealous. So the door of the subway opened, off the cart opened, and they got out on the same station. When they get out, this guy comes out and tried to swing at my cousin. My cousin body locks him, and he knew something because he took my cousin down. Actually, he hip toss him like a wrestling move or judo takedown. Of course, we teased my cousin. We said, "Yo, he took you down." But in 1 second, Henzo was on his back and hold him down. And then it's time now to show, humbleness. So Henzo mount on him and said, "Say sorry." And he's like, "I'm not going to say sorry." He's like, "You say sorry or you're going to be here forever." His girlfriend is trying to break the fight apart. Guys are holding her. And he's like, "Say sorry." He's like, "Sorry." And Henzo's like, No. You're screaming at me there. You're going to scream sorry. Say sorry. And the guy goes, "Sorry." He starts to scream, "Sorry." He goes, "Next time, I'm going to let you up. When I put you down now, I'm going to break both of your arms." Okay? Guy stood up. Boom. He didn't throw one punch. Not even one punch.
And Daniel, Henzo is 56, right?
Henzo's 56.
So this happened when he was 55. So there's a 55-year-old man, he's obviously legendary, gets attacked in New York City by a younger person in real time, immobilizes him, and then locked in position and made this fucking grown-ass man say, "I'm sorry," at the top of his lungs in front of everybody in New York City. The story went viral. Go to YouTube, it's hysterical.
Yeah, it's there. We made him show what he did on Gracie on the Man.
So we did a fight breakdown. So we're in New York City. We're at the Henzo Gracie Academy, and so this story went viral. So when I was interviewing him for the Gracie on the Man platform, he told this story, and then he did the fight breakdown. So he literally demonstrated what he did, how he took him down and broke down the fight. It was fucking awesome.
And by the way, folks, if you're listening, Gracie on Demand, interactive virtual training system to teach people, I would imagine, how to eventually end up a black belt.
Yeah, let me start on this. I got to tell you, it's been incredible. It's an honor to be able to engage with Daniel and create the full Gracie curriculum from white belt to black belt. And we created the entire subcategories from white belt, first stripe, second stripe, third stripe, fourth stripe, all the way to, like you said, to get in your black belt. But Brad, one of the coolest aspects is that he's not only jiu-jitsu royalty, but he is a active UFC coach, having fighters like on Saturday. Tell him about Brendan Allen. Who's he fighting?
Brendan is fighting a Brazilian guy, actually, Diniz. He's fighting a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but Brendan is a great black belt too, and it's going to be a good fight. Brendan now, I think he has 9 wins in the UFC, and I told him, I said, how are you not ranked yet? And he goes, yeah, I want to fight a ranked guy. I want to fight. And then he called me and he goes, yo, I got the fight. Like, I got a ranked guy. So now Diniz is number 11. What is going to bring Brendan to like really in a good spot. Yeah.
So if you beat the 11, do you go to 11?
It's not always like that. It doesn't work like that. But I believe that Brendan will go 11 or 10 because of his record. He has 9 wins in the UFC now. He has 12 fights in the UFC. I think 9 wins, or maybe 9. So he has only 2 losses in the UFC.
So Brad, what's cool about this is that, so obviously he has the entire Gracie Jiu-Jitsu curriculum if you want to learn Jiu-Jitsu, whether you're an individual or you're a martial art instructor. But now, because of all of his fighters, he's got a whole roster of UFC fighters, Bellator fighters, 1 championship in PFL. So we actually, for the last year, have been flying all over the United States, interviewing Sean Brady, Renzo Gracie, Andre Petrovsky, Jeremiah Wells, Pat Sabatini, Jonathan Webb. So all of these major UFC fighters that are, some of them ranked, they're breaking down all of their moves. They're telling secrets.
Yeah, I built a team in Philly. I'm there for I was in Philly for 10 years, and I built this kind of like perfect team. For me, I say perfect team because I use the jiu-jitsu mentality of friendship, team concept. You know, the concept of jiu-jitsu is not just learning how to kick people's ass. It's not just that. People that do jiu-jitsu, they embrace so much that lifestyle that they start to leave jiu-jitsu. It's kind of like going to a church and, praying. That's what they do with jiu-jitsu. They do that every day. It's their life. I have students coming to me and talking about things that they don't talk to their parents. Jiu-jitsu does that for people.
Do people show up every day?
Every day, sometimes twice a day. But every day.
Even if they're not intending to be a fighter?
Even if they're not intending to be a fighter.
Is it like a
it's addicting, bro.
Is it like a release, almost like a working out, out?
Yes. It is. But
do you lose a lot of weight? Do you get stronger?
100%. It's like you burn minimum in between 500 to 800 calories per training.
Damn.
Remember, we have the gi on, we have the vest on. That thing makes you
Brad,
sweat.
think about this though. What can you think about? You know how stressful your life is, high level, high performer. You could legally choke the shit out of somebody without getting in trouble. I mean, again, if that's not I'm stressed out. I've got kids, I've got businesses, I got all sorts of shit. If I'm on the mats, that shit goes away. I can't think about that shit because if I don't pay attention, rolling with someone that's a high level, they're gonna fucking put me to sleep or tap me out. So I gotta put all my bullshit outside the mats to the side. I'm focused, and it's like chess. Jiu-jitsu, the best analogy I could think for someone at your level, meaning like an intellectual, is physical chess. I don't care how good you are, the longer you've been doing this, the humbling the shit is.
Yeah.
Because you think that you could do something until you fucking fuck up.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna start rolling. Is that what they call it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start rolling.
Let me tell you, you're gonna love it.
You're gonna love it, brother.
You're gonna love it.
I'm just gonna do it because I think it would just add to my coolness.
Especially if you're trained by a fucking Gracie.
No, I mean, when someone looks at someone and knows that dude can kick your ass, just the level of respect automatically increases. Because not only is he fucking rich, good looking, fucking all this and all that, motherfucker can kick your ass anytime he wants to. That's just cool. I want to be cool. I want to be extra.
So that kind of confidence, that's one. Okay, that's one that gives you a lot of confidence. Knowing that you walk on the street and everywhere you're looking and you see a man, you think, I can kick your ass, 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 I can kick your ass. Yes, that too.
But you could be wrong, because what if I walked in and I saw you and I think I'd kick his ass and find out? No, you can't.
You could find someone that could kick your ass, but You're not thinking about the situation. That's a mindset that you have that makes you look at people with respect, but at the same time, you have that confidence. Because there's nothing more confident than knowing that you can
impose your
muscle,
will.
like exactly. So the word is for the
Make people
for the
say
strong,
they're sorry.
right? Everybody says the word is for the strong. It is the reality, okay? The mindset that you have. So if you ask me, okay, I'm a lawyer. I have nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. I'm not a fighter, okay? So now you're in the situation that you need to decide something, okay? You need to decide a moment that is really stressful for you. There is nothing more stressful than someone trying to choke you, trying to get your arm, they're on top of you, putting you in chokeholds and things that you have to find a strategy out. You have to get out of there and you have to do what you want. Like you have to choke them back or you have to sweep them back, end up on top. So that is every day, okay? When some situation in life bothers you, your brain is ready for a strategy. Your brain is ready to react towards that situation that is uncomfortable for you. It gives you it's funny. You see life in a different way when you do jiu-jitsu. I'm talking about any situation.
How do you start? How does one start?
www.gracieondemand.com.
Good idea.
I'm serious. Gracie on Demand.
Gracie on Demand.
It's not, just to be clear, Gracie on Demand is not to give you a fake belt. We don't believe in that bullshit. This is to give you the information, the philosophy and structure. We talked about this before the show, that there's a lot of jiu-jitsu schools out there. There's a lot of McDojos. So no disrespect to anybody out there, but you can do that and get right from the source to actually learn from a Gracie, from a real Gracie member who's a 6th degree black belt and who trains current undefeated UFC fighters. Shout out to Andre Petrosky. He's got a fight coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So to me, it sounds like, because if I were to take Gracie on Demand, that's a virtual interactive training system, which is cool and shit. It's almost like having you pop up and train me. And with all those interviews and secret hacks and all, I'm going to learn a lot, but like, don't I need to go to a gym eventually?
100%. Yes. You need to go somewhere.
Because I don't want to just watch it. I want to do it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I would accelerate my ability if I signed up for Gracie on Demand and got almost educated enough to go into a gym and accelerate because of that.
You're enhancing
100%.
it.
Not to mention the Gracie on Demand system is also going to tell me if my guy's full of shit, because there's full of shit trainers out there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you show up to a gym that's saying something opposite of what I'm learning on Gracie on Demand.
Yes.
Well, then you already know to question it.
Yes.
Why?
100%.
Because this is a Gracie on Demand official training system.
Yes. So this is what happened. Okay. A lot of people, you're gonna see videos everywhere of jiu-jitsu instructionals. Like you're gonna see a bunch of videos. But what happened is people are not knowing how to teach nowadays. Reality. That's the bottom line. Okay.
Especially in jiu-jitsu.
On our time, I think my generation, maybe one generation above mine, was the last one that learned how to be fighters and teachers. Okay. Now they only try to teach whatever they do. What is wrong? Because if you don't have the same body type as me, my technique is not going to be good for you. I have to know how to teach if you are fat, short, tall, skinny, whatever body type you have to build a kind of jiu-jitsu for you, okay? And this is what we're doing on Gracie on Demand. I'm teaching like I teach in my gym. You go to the first video of Gracie on Demand
module.
We're going to learn the module. You're going to learn the same way I teach you if you show up the first time in my school, okay? So let's say before I want to start jiu-jitsu, I want to go on Gracie on Demand. I want to watch the videos to see what's going on.
Watch the courses.
The courses.
Yeah, it's not YouTube, baby. This is a whole.
I know it's another level.
But I can also say this. It also save you some embarrassment.
Yes,
because a lot of people fail to go to the gym because they know they're new and they don't want to get embarrassed, and so again, this can get somebody up to speed, so to speak, to then walk into a gym with a little more.
100%.
Yeah,
100%, because it's very explicative, and I show step by step. And I show why the grip, why this, why you're moving to the left, why.
What's the first thing you teach?
Usually escaping from the mount, escaping from positions, like how you get, like usually control on the street. Headlocks, mounts, like I show that.
Well, usually
some self-defense, like breaking grips and things like that.
Well, usually, like when I watch these instructional videos, especially that one that's famous on YouTube where, like, he always says, then you take the gun, and it's like, that ain't gonna happen. That's not real life. But that's usually what I'm seeing, where like they'll be like, okay, put your hands on my neck like this. Like, I've never been in a fight where someone grabbed me by the neck like this.
No, that's
usually in a fight. There's nobody grabbing me. They're swinging at me. And the question is did it connect or not? And then what do I do in return? Do I swing back or do I take them to the ground? So what I want to know is, which one? Do I swing back or take them to the ground?
If you know jiu-jitsu, take them to the ground. 100%.
So if they swing, I obviously avoid,
duck,
even if they hit me, but
duck,
I just try to close the distance.
Yes.
And sweep their feet.
Take them to the ground. I'm gonna tell you why.
Is that a leg sweep?
We call the double leg.
Single leg.
In Brazil, it's called baiana, where it's a position from actually capoeira guys.
Is that where they call them banana?
Baiana. It's like a person from Bahia. Baiana is like a,
Yeah, but the guy you're talking about in the green room, you said they called him Banana. And I said, they used to call me banana.
That. It's one of my black belts. There's nothing to do with Baiana.
Oh.
It's a person
Baiana is
from
different
Bahia,
than banana.
So you take the person down and you hold them down, and that's the thing. Most of the people, I'm not going to say everyone, okay? Most of the people, when you hold them down and you cool them down, like, look, I'm not going to punch you, I'm going to let you go. They stand up and they don't do anything to you.
Yeah, because they realize you could have been pummeling their face and you didn't.
Most of the people, you break the fight. There's no fight anymore. And you didn't have to get punched in the face. You didn't have to scrape your arms or anything happen.
I saw a video the other day in one of those basketball courts where everybody's playing basketball. Yeah. And, there's a lot of fights in those courts sometimes. And so this dude started swinging, and this dude, and like had him in an arm bar quick. And he did the same thing. He said, "Do you want me to break your arm? You want me to break your arm?" The guy's like, "Let me go." So he finally let him go, and they got up, and the guy wouldn't do anything. Well, because if you realize, dude, if the guy got me in an arm bar like that,
imagine if he can do to me if he's punching my face.
But do you teach those wrist locks and like arm bars and shit?
My favorite wrist locks.
100%. We actually have a tutorial on the platform of all wrist locks.
Yeah, so we have.
So what about like a guy your size against a guy that size? How's that going to fare? And let's say he doesn't know shit, but you do.
He'll kill me.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you're a little guy,
I have a friend. Of course, he's a good black belt. His name is Soneca. We call him Soneca. Where is one of the dwarfs? So he's really small. Okay, Hélio Soneca. He's one of the best teachers in the world. But I remember one time he got into a fight with this humongous bodybuilder. It was like 30 seconds. He took the guy down, mounted, grabbed his arm around the neck, and he was like slapping his face. He was not even punching. He was slapping his face. Say that you give up. You give up. You give up. I give up. He's like, if I'm gonna let you go, I'm gonna let you up. If you try to fight me again, I'm gonna hurt you. Bodybuilder went like, wait, like I'm talking about like big difference of size. So, like I said, there's no other. If let's put two guys swinging at each other, why are you gonna risk it to get hurt like that? Like you're a small guy against a big guy. Anyone is going to have a strong punch if they have, muscle.
Well, you know how like when you wrestle, you go out there and it's like when you start, it's like ready, they got to start like this or whatever. Like, how do you start rolling?
Well, then there is techniques. There is hand fighting for that. So the information that we had in Brazil was not the same as here. Here now we know wrestling. I know wrestling now. I'm not going to say, all the takedowns I learned in jiu-jitsu. No, I learned most of my takedowns now are wrestling and judo. So on that time, it was easier on my time learning jiu-jitsu because nobody knew jiu-jitsu. So any takedown was effective. And especially in Brazil, that we don't have wrestling. The wrestling in Brazil is very small. Like nobody knows. Here, a lot of people wrestle in high school. So they know wrestling. So when jiu-jitsu came to US and connected the takedowns, wrestling takedowns with jiu-jitsu, it was a perfect combination, and of course with striking, that's more for MMA, but
I think I'd be a better striker.
Yeah, but you're going to get punched in the head.
I don't want to, but you know, I want to learn it all. That's where the MMA comes in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like, dude, what if you're a badass jiu-jitsu guy and you meet a striker? Well, again, you're not putting me on the ground if I knock your ass out. So now what? Well, now you go strike. Well, what if you're a striker and you meet a jiu-jitsu guy and you go on the ground? Well, now you're screwed.
100%.
Yeah, well, but
you got to do them all.
So, but you have to have a background, right?
If you're going to be a fighter, but you can do one if you just want to learn to defend yourself. And I think jiu-jitsu is probably the one to learn.
Yeah, but remember, you have a background. You have to have a background in something. So let's say I'm a striker,
Like an anchor.
Yeah, so I'm a striker, okay, and I want to learn jiu-jitsu. It doesn't matter for how long I train jiu-jitsu. My strength is going to be striking, okay? So I learned jiu-jitsu just to defend myself, to not get embarrassed if I go to the ground. It's the same thing when a jiu-jitsu guy starts to learn striking. He's going to learn striking enough to protect his face until he takes the guy down.
Who do you think is the best jiu-jitsu practitioner on planet Earth right now?
Right now, well, I can say
Gordon?
Yeah, I can't say any other name but Gordon Ryan.
Gordon Ryan, for
He's
sure.
He's a guy from our team. He's from Renzo Gracie team.
Is he here local?
No, he comes to Las Vegas a lot to compete and do seminars.
There's a guy, he had blonde hair.
That's him. Yeah. Gordon Ryan. He's the best grappler in the world right now.
Best grappler in the world.
I was down at Protein House.
He's actually competing this Saturday.
He's probably
against a guy that he fought twice already. Each one won one time. Now this is the third fight.
Well, I was down at Protein House right down the road eating, and there's these guys at the table. I didn't notice them, but the guy I was with is a fan and a jiu-jitsu guy. And he said, no, someone came up to me and they were a fan and wanted my picture, which that person was sitting with this guy. And they say, well, what is that guy? Well, we got a podcast, yada, yada, yada. So I was like, you can come on the podcast. And the guy goes, no, you want that guy on the podcast. I'm like, who's that guy? And that guy was that guy.
Yeah. Gordon Ryan.
He said, that guy's like one of the best jiu-jitsu guys on earth.
Yeah. So he's a black belt under my cousin, under Renzo Gracie. So that's where I came from. That's what I train. And he's the best in the world right now.
Really?
Yeah. There is a bunch of big names and there's different competitions. But right now, the most well-known guy in the world, it's him.
But he's not in the UFC. So I have a question for you. Who is the best jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC?
Because he's still there, I think Damian Maia. Damian Maia. 100%. Now,
what would Joe Rogan say?
Brendan Allen is definitely one of the best right now.
He said, what would Joe Rogan say about Damian Maia?
Well, he would definitely agree with me. He would definitely agree with me.
Isn't Rogan a jiu-jitsu guy?
Yeah. He trained. I think he started under my cousins, the Machado brothers.
I saw a video where he was kicking the bag. I'm like, damn, dude, that dude's got some power.
He has power. Yeah.
But kicking isn't jiu-jitsu.
I think he was a top level taekwondo practitioner. Like he was like top level in taekwondo. So he's a martial artist too.
So they specialize in kicks.
Yeah.
So if I'm out there, I'm a business guy, I'm a CEO, I'm an entrepreneur. I have no reason to fight. I don't get in fights. I'm not I don't care about fighting, but I want confidence and I want health benefits.
Definitely jiu-jitsu. Definitely jiu-jitsu.
Because I'm not going to walk away with a broken nose on accident, would I?
That's the thing.
So you go boxing, you might get popped in the nose.
I'm not going to say they can happen. Okay, in jiu-jitsu, sometimes elbows, in the move, but it's very, very, very difficult to happen. That's why anybody can do it. There is jiu-jitsu for any body type, any age, any circumstances.
What age should someone start? Like if I'm a parent and I'm listening to this and I'm like, I got kids. How early should I get my kids involved?
Both my sons, my one son Xander, he's 9 years old. He's been doing it since he's 2.5. My
two
son,
and a half?
2.5, no exaggeration. He was the youngest one. My son Sean, he just completed his freshman year at Shawnee High School for the wrestling team. He's been training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 10 years. And now he's training 5 days a week because he wants to be a professional fighter. Like, it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, you can start.
So you guys make me want to get involved.
Yo, you got to. Yeah, right now. You got some mats in the car?
We could.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it now.
No, I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
I want to get on Gracie on Demand for a minute first.
Yes, watch Gracie on Demand before you even start to train, and then you're gonna see that once you come to a class to train with me, you're gonna be doing things that we are teaching at Gracie on Demand. The main thing is to find a teacher that understands what I'm talking about, like the concept of, okay, why this, why that? You're gonna have a bunch of questions, okay? And one of the things that is hard is to develop that situation that you're like, okay, now I know what's going on here. It's gonna be a lot of like, shit, I have no idea. You're gonna get frustrated because you have no idea what's going on until you start to figure, oh, if I push this way, it works for me. Oh, so I'm gonna keep pushing this way. And then slowly you start to build muscle memory. And then you're gonna start to move without noticing that you're moving. And the funniest part that I hear from everyone that starts to train jiu-jitsu, after 3 or 4 weeks, they wake up in the middle of the night moving in bed. Doing jiu-jitsu moves in bed. Like hip escaping, pushing, grabbing the pillow. It really happens because it is that you're working your brain the whole time.
Do the wives like that?
Oh yeah.
Yes, 100%.
I have 4 kids for the record.
100%. Like most of the wives that I know, when their husbands start to train jiu-jitsu, they said, "Man, he's another man." Like they're so much happier. They're so much alive.
Why do you think that is? Confidence, discipline,
techniques.
Well, it can't just be you're not putting them in a headlock.
No, but there's
well,
not headlocks,
but at the end of the day, why do you think a guy gets happier from practicing jiu-jitsu?
Like I said, it's not something that you working out. Anybody can work out. Anybody can go to a gym, jump on the treadmill, run, or work out. But that is not working your brain. That is not working muscle memory. You're not learning anything.
Yeah.
With jiu-jitsu, you're learning all the time. So it takes your mind away of stress a little bit. That happy moment, you just want to go back and do it again.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do it again. That's why people get addicted. It's because it works your brain. It's not just your muscles. And it's hard to explain because you don't know until you do it. You don't know until you do it. I never heard about, maybe my whole life teaching jiu-jitsu, 4 or 5 times someone came to me and said, it's not for me. It's not for me. And it has nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. It's more because they didn't want to get humble. They didn't want to get their ass kicked before learning. Because you will get your ass kicked. There's no way.
How do you get it kicked if you're learning?
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
If you bundle me up and you're teaching me, like I didn't get my ass kicked.
That's the thing. You just mentioned what people don't realize. I'm learning. I just started. Why am I going to get frustrated if I just started to do that? You understand? There's people that don't want that. They don't want to learn. Like they don't want the learning process. They don't want to be through like, okay, I'm not humble enough to start this from the beginning. How can I start to kick people's ass right away?
Dude, anybody good at anything sucked in the beginning.
Listen,
you have to learn.
One thing that we haven't talked about, and I think this is an important distinction for you and for the listeners, in martial arts, because I did Kempo, Shaolin Kempo, which is like karate kung fu as a kid for many, many years. And when you're doing karate and those type of things, they're not full on engagement. You're doing katas or you're punching right next to somebody. It's not real. They're forms to try to build the muscle memory. With jiu-jitsu, you said, how do you get beat up? Brother, when I tell you, when you're on the mats, whether you're a fucking white belt or black belt, you're going full force. Remember, with jiu-jitsu, you tap the second there's distress. And that's how come you're able to be in a controlled environment where there's really no injury.
Are there dicks out there where if you tap, they don't let go?
They don't last long.
Yeah, they don't last long.
They don't last long.
Yeah. Of course, if I see someone doing that, first I'm going to yell at the person. And then the second time they do, they're out. Because this is not the place. This is not what we do.
Same Cobra Kai.
And that's what I was talking about in Philadelphia.
No mercy.
No mercy.
One of the things that my team became really special in Philadelphia, why we were undefeated in the UFC for the past, at one point we were 16-0, and unfortunately, the two guys that I thought they were never going to lose, they lost the last fight. So now we're 17-2 in the UFC. What is unheard of it? Like we for 2 years, almost, maybe 2 years or almost 2 years undefeated. Every fight we're winning, and it's always submission, knockout. It's always winning by a good way. And the reason is because we created this team that used the jiu-jitsu mentality, but at the same time, they're good strikers and good wrestlers, but the bond that got together, okay? Like this is what made the difference. And I'm trying to tell people what's happening there. What's happening there is like people are having fun as they're kicking people's ass. They're having fun. Like
getting in shape, having fun, building confidence.
And then, going places together with the same people that you train every day, like having fun together.
It's like a brotherhood.
Like a brotherhood. That's what I call brotherhood. It is a brotherhood. 100%. It's like a gang, okay, but everybody knows how to fight. Everybody trains with each other. Like
how long does it take for you to get respect? Like if I started tomorrow, by December, could I be respected?
December? Absolutely.
I'm joking. It's like 10 years.
You could. I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy.
What if I was just naturally good?
It's possible.
It is possible. I'm not saying that it's impossible.
How can you tell?
Well, I'm going to say it's not possible, okay, unless you have a background in some fighting.
Or you learn quick.
If you're on Gracie,
because if someone's in an arm lock, there's only so many ways to get out of it.
Yeah, so you're gonna get guys your level, and yes, you're gonna be better than them, but you're never gonna get there. And this that short, like from here to December, you're gonna get a professional fighter that is good, and you're gonna be able to beat him up. No, that's not gonna happen.
That takes years.
That takes years.
And again, I wouldn't be doing it for fighting.
No.
I'd be doing it for defense in case something happened, which nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
And my gun doesn't work. Because again, I mean, your guys' moves ain't stopping my 9mm.
Nobody's gonna stop you at 9mm.
so that's what I trust and believe.
Yeah.
Trust and believe.
Well, but for the people that
sometimes I don't walk around all the time with a weapon. I'm not going to shoot somebody for punching me in the face because you got to be willing to shoot them. I'm not. I'll take an ass kick and I'll fight if I have to fight. But I would hate to fight someone that knows what they're doing.
But you just said something that is really important. Okay, when you know you don't need a gun to defend yourself, your mindset is going to be a lot more cool and precise to make the right choice, okay? When you're afraid, when you're scared of someone coming to you, the probability of you pulling your gun and shooting someone in the head is going to be a lot bigger than if you see someone coming to you and said, I don't need my gun to beat this guy up. So I'm going to beat this guy up without my gun. You understand? So it makes it builds a safer environment. You don't see people that train for fighting or train jiu-jitsu every day going on the street and picking fights. It's totally different. It's another way, actually. They go the other way. They do less and less and less. So like I said, yes, you believe your gun, but if you know how to fight, you're not going to need to believe only in your gun, and you're going to be more respectful to people's life. Like, okay, I can put this guy down. I'm not going to need to shoot him. Now, people that they're scared, those are the ones that make the bad choice of, okay, not bad choice, sometimes it's the only thing they can do, to shoot someone to defend themselves. If you don't need it, you're not going to do it. But if you need it, it's the only thing you have, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So we're creating something that is actually safer for the environment, so safer for that, for society.
And not only that, this Gracie On Demand, there is nothing like that on the market.
No. Well, I got to tell you, there's nothing in the entire martial art world right now that is a training, tracking, testing, certification platform for martial arts. But what makes it 10 times even better conceptually, it's created by a Gracie. The persons that their family invented this stuff. And then with Daniel's access to the UFC, what we're doing with one of the fighters, for example, his name's Andre Petrovsky, undefeated. He just fought in Madison Square Garden. He's 4-0 in the UFC. He and I and Daniel are creating a course of how to become a fighter. You're a business guy, Brad. These kids don't know the path to what it takes to be a UFC fighter. Everything from how to get signed, whether you're going to go through the reality show version or you're going to go through a sports agent. How do you deal with contracts? How do you deal with all this stuff?
There's paparazzi.
Yes, all
the
that
press.
Stuff.
Yeah,
100%.
Everything, because this
fighter development.
This will happen. And another thing that is different on Gracie on Demand that we're doing is like the access to all those fighters that I have. You know, the access to my family. I'm gonna have things there that nobody's gonna have. You know, like Renzo telling us how he whether he used on the fight on the subway. You know, funny stories that happen. You know, on the backstage of
his cousin was just with the president of Serbia. He's in Abu Dhabi working with the sheiks. So this is his family.
They call him sheiks there. Do you know that?
Sheiks.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's a sheik. I'm like, man, what kind?
Well, in Brazil we call sheiks. We don't say when they say sheiks. I'm like, oh, okay, sheiks.
Well, sheik sounds better than shake.
Yeah.
Sheiks.
Yeah, I know, but like
In
here,
Brazil,
a shake is
shakes.
a milkshake.
It looks like, but it's the same word for us. It's the same thing.
Like peanut butter milkshakes.
Yeah, but
You're
the
a shake.
access that we're gonna have is different than anyone else. You know, so like there's videos out there showing jiu-jitsu, but we're gonna be in another level in terms of interaction with what we're doing. What we're trying to mimic here is, okay, you are in Japan and you want to train with Daniel Gracie, and then you can go on Gracie on Demand. And the way I'm going to teach you is like you are in my class. You're in front of me in my class. That's the way. It's not just like, oh, guys, I'm going to show a position here, and you have to be looking like, okay, oh, the hand is on the left side. No, the hand. I explain, like, my hand is here because of this, this, and that. And make sure you're doing this. Nobody wants to show that. Why? Because it's not exciting. There's videos on YouTube that you're gonna see there's like 1,000 views or 1 million views because it's exciting to see that crazy move. And then someone is gonna try to do that move at home or in the gym. They're gonna break their neck,
right?
Because they don't explain that this is not a move that a beginner can do it, because you had to know where to go. You know,
You have to have the foundations.
the foundation. So we're starting Gracie on Demand with the foundation.
Very beginning.
Perfect foundation.
All the way through to black belt?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's never been done before either.
No.
Well,
Remember that Gracie thing I was talking about?
Yeah.
That was only up to a certain level. I think
Right.
blue or maybe even purple, but it only
going
went.
all the way to black. You know why? Because a black belt is a beginner.
Oof.
A black belt is a beginner.
Drop that bomb.
You know what I'm talking about? Like people are not humble enough to say, oh, I'm a black belt. I'm a black belt. Yeah, you know shit. Every day I learn something different in jiu-jitsu. Every day. When I think I
What
know
are you,
everything.
a 6th degree?
6th degree black belt. And every day I learn
Which
something
basically
different.
means 6 levels of black belt.
Yeah. I got my black belt in 1995. Yeah.
And
There's
then
people born. People
What's
that
the
actually
highest that
born
goes?
in 1995.
What's the highest it goes?
Red belt.
Red belt, yeah.
Ninth
red,
degree.
Red and white. Like they change a little bit. Like red belt is the last one. Really.
So
Let me tell
are you working
I'm
for
gonna
your
come
red
over
belt?
here to the podcast in clutches when I come here as a red belt. Well, I'm.
Is there
very
any
close
red
to-
belts in the world?
So
Yes.
say it again.
Are there any red belts in the world?
There is now. There's a bunch.
How
Now
many?
There's a bunch. I don't know how many, but there's a lot of them. My uncle Hobson, Renzo's father, he's the patriarch of the family now. He's the higher rank in the world right now. He's the oldest Gracie alive. But there's other red belts now. They're not from the Gracie family.
Where's Hoyce?
Hoist, I think he's a coral belt. He's a coral belt now.
Coral?
Coral.
It's like red and black.
Black and red. Black and red.
7th degree.
After 7th degree, but you can have more degrees on the coral belt.
Is he
So
eight?
this is how it works. Okay, you got the black belt. 3 years later, you have 1 stripe. 3 years later, it's like 6. You have another stripe. 9, you have another stripe. So you have 3 stripes in the first 9 years of black belt. After that, every 5 years, you get another stripe, and then after that, after 3 stripes, you get every 7 years. And then from
What's time
7,
got
I
to do
think
with it?
goes, You go 7, 7, 7.
Well, wait a minute. What did you tell me about training? Real training only comes from what my mentor
Practice,
from repetition and time. So I think that's really
but if
smart.
I train 1,000 hours a month and you train 10 hours a month, it could take you 7 hours and it could take me 7 months.
They feel, I think, that it has to do with age and wisdom. You know what I mean?
For me, it looks like the same thing as like all the kids compete. There's one winner, but everybody gets a medal, right? It doesn't matter how long you train, okay? Because this is what happened. Sometimes you're going to be a slower learner. And it's okay. It's okay by time, if you're not challenging yourself, if you're not competing, till you get the black belt first than your partner because you've been training for longer. But it sucks to be a black belt getting your ass kicked by the other black belt.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to make sure this is not happening to you.
That's why I would go to Gracie and not some other bullshit one.
But this is what's happening now. People don't care anymore, and they are going to the Mac dojos because they're getting their ass, their belt hanged into them. But then if they're going to train, they're going to embarrass themselves. So teachers are protecting students because it feels good and because their money is on their account every month.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? So I don't think anyone in my family is going to do that. To teach jiu-jitsu and give belts away just because that person is giving them money, okay?
Well, before anyone listening thinks they're going to get their black belt, it starts with a white belt. And in order to start, you have to start. So start on Gracie On Demand.
Gracie On Demand.
Is it GracieOnDemand.com?
Yes, GracieOnDemand.com.
GracieOnDemand.com. For you guys that are dumb, it's GRACIE, Gracie On Demand. Yeah, I hope you can spell that. Gracie On Demand. That's where I'd be going if I were you guys. Follow Daniel Gracie at Daniel Gracie on Instagram. Sean V. Bradley is Dealer Synergy.
Oh, no, it's just at Sean V. Bradley.
At Sean V. Bradley. Who made me this?
Not me.
I thought you did. I was going to say, dude, that's what you wrote. But that's my team.
Nope.
It's my team did that.
That's all right.
Sean V. Bradley at Sean V. Bradley on Instagram. You can also find Daniel at DanielGracieLasVegas.com. He's a local.
Move to Las Vegas. Good move. Like, of course, my team in Philadelphia got a little upset because I left them. But remember, every UFC fighter, they can come to Las Vegas. They can train in the UFC Performance Institute.
Which is high tech, badass.
The best facility ever.
Yeah, I had a female fighter in here, Tracy Torres, I think. Tracy Cortez.
Yeah, makes sense. I heard this name before.
Anyway, she was just here, and she said the frickin' place is amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Anything, even like a altitude. How do you call it? Altitude chamber. They have there to make you work like you working in the mountains, so your lungs can absorb more oxygen. It's crazy what they have there. So
you're heading there now, aren't you?
Yeah, right after this.
Yeah. So every fighter that I have in the UFC can come to Las Vegas. They're allowed to bring 3 people with him. They can train, eat, they can do massage, they can do sauna, everything on that facility. It was the best facility I've ever been, so I hope they're smart enough to leave Philadelphia for a few weeks to come train with me here.
You guys heard it. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in, folks. Get Gracie On Demand if you're interested in the fight game, you're interested in protection, you're interested in just ultimately confidence and the ability to create a foundation. And if not, well, then chance getting your ass kicked.
That's it. And just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Law enforcement, be ready. We are coming with a lot more. This is just the start.
Law enforcement be big.
Yes, absolutely.
Who's your fighter fighting?
Brendan Allen is fighting this weekend, this Saturday.
Yeah, so guys, go tune in, UFC, watch his boy kick that ass. Who's he fighting?
He's fighting Diniz I forgot. I know it's a Brazilian guy.
That's why when people win fights, their coaches get all freaked out because it's a team.
It is 100%.
So how does it feel when you get them to lose? They're like, damn, dude, you're letting your team down.
It's the worst. But when they win, it feels like you were there.
We flew to Abu Dhabi. I was in Abu Dhabi when Sean Brady lost against Bilal Muhammad.
It's the worst. And imagine, this guy was 15-0. He was undefeated. It was his first loss. Training with me for 10 years. Yeah. First loss. It was hard. It was hard
in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Who beat him?
Bilal Muhammad. What is now number 4 in the world? Yeah, we didn't expect that coming. We thought we're gonna win that fight, but we didn't. I think it was more because of fighting overseas than technique wise. It was the first time out of the country, first time out of Philadelphia. He was like, you could tell that he was a little overwhelmed. But I think that's just gonna make him a better fighter. He's gonna come back better.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else? What else do you think the Bomb Squad needs to hear?
Andre Petrosky's at the upcoming fight.
He just announced.
Yeah, so one of those amazing undefeated UFC fighters. He's fighting, I think, in Newark in a couple months. So
undefeated?
Yeah, he's undefeated.
Andre Petrosky.
Andre Petrosky, he's a beast.
Go get him. Go watch it, folks. Tune into the UFC. Until next time, keep it real.
People talk about the sign of the beast and being tracked, and there you have it. This has a number, and it's in your pocket, dipshit.
Wherever you go.
Wherever you go. Wherever you go. And the companies have it. The government doesn't have to do this. You're doing it to yourself. So the only thing that the government needs is